what I'm going to be riding for next year, and what's going on. So if you want to see my screen, it's going live on YouTube. So here we go. So we get some people in the house. What's up, Facebook, YouTube? All right, here we go. So we're rolling in right now to the SnowCheck site on Polaris. We'll go back one more for you guys here, and we're just gonna run top to bottom for all of my RMK Chaos lovers out there. That's what we're gonna do. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below on Facebook or YouTube, and I will, pick them apart as I get to them, see what we can do, and hopefully answer some questions on this deal right now. Tim, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. So we're going to start right here. SnowCheck, dive in, see what we got popping. So starting with our list of potential chassis. Obviously RMK, Switchback, Indies, Titans, Voyagers. I run in the RMK family. There's one interesting snowmobile in the Switchback family this year because it is in that new chassis, but I'm just gonna have, I only get one, I don't get to have 27 sleds, so we're gonna stick to the old RMK family right here. And then this is where the big decision lies first, right off the bat. The RMK, there's actually, for a lot of people, there's even a third option, and that could be SKS as well. So the Pro RMK and the Chaos, lots of big differences there. I shouldn't say big differences. I say lots of more minute differences, but can make the sled feel quite different. So, but really you're just looking at that shock package and the different skid geometry. So the different skid geometry is a little bit more aggressive. It makes the sled feel a little bit lighter, like we've talked about a lot. And I really enjoy that feeling in that sled. It makes it a little bit easier to ride in like the more playful areas. But when you get into the really tight technical trees, that's where the Chaos is going to be a little bit more of a handful. It's not going to go up quite as good as the RMK does, but it's still super fun. And what we saw this year is that new 163, 165 option, making the Chaos even more, appealing to so many people, including myself. So that's kind of the breakdown between RMK and Chaos. Then there's also the SKS is a good package for somebody who rides a lot of trail, a lot of hard snow, somebody that needs a little bit better cooling. So if you bounce in between there, then the SKS is actually a good option there. I haven't spent much time on the SKS. That's not really in my wheelhouse. But if you have heating issues with sleds ever, an SKS is something that should really be looked into. So we're going to go, for me personally, this year, I'm going to go Chaos. I mean, look at me. Obviously, I'm going to go Chaos. So now we can actually kind of get into some more things. Next option here is chain case, quick drive, or the new QD2 quick drive. So this is what's crazy is now there is no more reason, in my opinion, for guys to be riding chain cases. Because even if you love that 3-inch, well, guess what? You can now get it in that QD2, the new quick drive. So a little bit of info here on the right-hand side of the screen. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. I don't know if I'm smart enough to run this. But so the QD2 is essentially just a gear reduction, 10% gear reduction. It's going to be quicker on the bottom, going to be faster. and it's going to be more instantaneous. When I rode the new Chaos 163, I rode a 163 3-inch with this drive. It was really impressive, and I really liked it. It was a great sled. So that's an awesome option, especially if you've owned a 3-inch in the past and you really like the 3-inch track. That's a great option. If you're a diehard 2.6 guy, the 2.6 is still available in the quick drive. For me, I'm going to go QD2 with the new track, which we'll talk about once we get to it. And the reason that there's a differences in between the 165, so there's a 165 275 lug, and now there's a 163 3-inch like we continue to have. So the difference is in the pitch of the track. It's how far the lugs are spaced apart, how far the windows are spaced apart. That's just what makes the difference. That's why there's a difference in a 163 and a 165. It's not like a length thing. It's a pitch thing. That just, when it's a bigger pitch like that, the track has to be just a hair longer for it to make a circle, or for it all to work out under the sled itself. So that's also why Skidoo and Cat, they've all had different numbers over there: 151s, 153s, 154s, 156s. So that's lug based, but we're basing it all around that 150 range sled and that 163 range sled. So next sled here is and let me backtrack. I'm gonna build on this right now. I'm gonna build my two top choices of sled. So we're gonna start with this one right here. Let's go. Because it's new, we'll cover it first. We're going to go, we did QD2 quick drive system. That allows us to select this new Series 8 165 track. So that's the track that we're going to want, that I'm going to want. And another huge reason behind this, let's actually go back and see if, I want to see if we can, oh boy, if it will tell us about the track here, because there's the lightweight that we've been talking about a little bit, that you may have heard as being mentioned, is in the new 275 track, because the track has less windows, it's lighter, it's and that new quick drive belt system is also a little bit lighter, it's more efficient. So that's why the 165 275 with the new quick drive system is going to be the lightest 160 option. That's going to be a little bit lighter than the 163 2.6, and it's also going to be lighter than the 163 3-inch. So you can go ahead and sign me up for the 2.75 Series 8 track, because I'm getting that lightweight that we all love so much, and now we get a rendering of essentially the sled here. So we have our Chaos, we have our Velocity shocks, which are the best option that we can get right from Polaris. They're a good option. We have the different front shock length, we have the different approach angle, we have the new track, and we're in a 165. So this sled is super fun, very aggressive. This thing will go up and get things done, but it is also very playful. Like, I made a statement that I haven't been able to do hopovers, bow ties, reentries, all of these things with ease on a 65 before, because the Pro is a little bit more planted. Now this Chaos is much more playful in that fact that it just wants to keep that front end up a little bit more, making it easier to ride. You're going to have less rider input. But yeah, so that's what's going on with that right there. Now, I like to go all black because I wrap my sleds, and I just go everything black, tunnel black, rail color black, arms black. Then, because I can't make a decision now on what color I want to do. So by the time I get to the fall, then I'm like, if I would have done an all red sled, I want to do blue now, and I got to change a bunch of stuff. So it doesn't really work that great for me. But are we live on YouTube? I feel like we're live on YouTube. Check in. Here we go. Hold on. yeah, we're live on YouTube right now. youtube.com/Ross Robinson X. Popping off. Some of the links might have got a little mixed up. So my people coming in hot. Back to business here. Like I said, all black, and it's awesome. There's some other cool colors. I really like this red here. We'll switch it up just so you guys can see. That's a super cool dark red with like some metal flake in it. That's a great option. I like the blue a little bit too. Not a huge fan of the lime anymore. So I'm definitely ready for the lime stuff to go on its way. Kind of more back to like some earth tones here. All black. That's the move. And you can see down here. Let me move this. In the corner, you can see the price as configured, right? So if you change certain things, the price will actually change as well. So you can see that rails do indeed cost you $200 to get powder coated rails. Tunnel also same thing. Black tunnels are going to be more expensive than the raw tunnel, so that's cheaper as well. All things to take into consideration when purchasing, especially if you're on a budget, like, you know, you don't need to get the powder coated if that's going to be a big change for you, because it is quite a bit of money right there. So I like to go all black. The black powder does help the snow not stick to it as well. A wrap also does a great job of that. So that's kind of the thought behind that. It adds weight of a little bit of weight to the sled because it is paint, it is material on there. But yeah. So Chaos 165 QD2, correct, Troy. That is what we're building right now. Another question, can an avid/avid rider take the Chaos the same places as a pro? I would say that in a 165, if we're going like mono 165 Axis Pro RMK versus a 165 Chaos, I would say that yes, you're going to be able to take them the exact same places. You're going to get so damn close that you're not going to really feel the difference in like, oh, I wish this thing would be a little bit more planted for me, for my opinion, because I like to do the playful stuff as well. And this is also the front track shock package that Chris is running in 165s as well now, because he loves to go up, but also that feeling, that light front end feeling, is a little bit easier to ride. It takes less input, so that's a huge reason why we ride this as well, or why we like to ride it, is because it feels lighter. It feels like it takes less effort, and that's a huge deal. And for most of the terrain that everybody rides, like, this is a great package. But if you really like that planted feel, that want to go forward feel, you only ride the trees. I mean, the Pro is the Pro for a reason, is because it is like the most capable handling machine, and it's not by a ton, because they're just tweaking things with the Chaos to make it feel better for certain riders. But it's a great option, for us to be able to have both. Bottom line is you won't go wrong. Especially the bigger question is the 165 to 155 aspect. So if I was going to ride one sled, it depends on where I ride. But one sled, if I rode one sled and I rode on the coast, if I rode Oregon and California, Washington, that wet, heavier coastal snow where there's tendencies to have more setup days, or somewhere where I'm going to be hitting more jumps or doing more more playful riding, then the 155 is going to be the option for me. The 165 would come into play places like Wyoming, Colorado, things where there's a lot more technical riding. And even in Wyoming, from a lot of my riding experience, a 55 is an awesome, super fun sled, and there's a lot of really, really good riders that ride it there. So it's all about the agenda. Colorado, high elevation, where we guide with Chris, and where BBA is operated out of, that is a place where a 65 is like you really want a 65, especially if you're going to go into the trees. But I would say one sled for all over the place. Probably for me, would a stock sled would be a 55, because I can still go ride it and have fun. But then when it comes springtime and harder snow and all these things, the 55 is just a little bit more fun for me. So that is the move there. Good question. Why is the 74, 75 too long? For some people, it's not too long. For riders like myself, that sled just pushes too much. It's not nimble enough for what I like to do. And it's so long that even when it is going up, it's a little bit harder to maneuver. So that's why the 65 and the 55 are like the money sleds. And that's where the industry always keeps coming back to, is like, you can go longer, do this, do that, but that feels like the 55. And that's what I'm seeing, in the comments to a lot of guys talking, is the 55 is a great sled for everything. Polaris will not let you get a 155 with a 65 skid. This is the way it's going to come. You have to get this. A cut tunnel 174. I would have to ride it. I have no idea, honestly. And without diving too big into modifications and stuff, it would be interesting, that's for sure, but not enough time on it. And I think it would just be too planted of a sled for me to really like. But yeah, so here we go. This is the kind of the first build out right here. The 65 Chaos. To recap, 65 Chaos, 275 track, all black, 850, and I think there's a couple more options here. Manual start with high elevation clutching. There is an awesome now low elevation clutch kit if you ride below 3,000 feet. That is not me, so I don't really know about it, and I don't really have any input on that or what that's going to look like. But there's a reason they did it, and it's a good option for everybody riding low. Now, manual start, high elevation clutching, that's the move. Here's the deal with electric start, is it's really heavy. It's like 30 pounds heavy, and that is not what this sled is about. This is about being a light sled, and it's not shot, so it is still battery and all that stuff, and it's heavy for sure. So that's why I always go with the manual start, because it is way lighter. Low back windshield, I will break anything other than that, and even I will usually find a way to break the low black windshield sometimes. And only option on Chaos is the Walker Evans Velocity Shocks. Pro taper handlebar height, low, middle, or high. All right, this one's serious. We're getting better. And everybody's getting better in the industry with this bad boy, but it has taken a long time, it feels like. So this sled is, even if Chris is 6 foot, I'm 5'11", I know at 5'11", I want to ride even shorter handlebar sleds, because what happens is that sled comes up into your chest when it gets on a hill, and if the hill is like this, that sled comes up into you, and then your hands are in your chest and you don't have any leverage on it. So I understand the saying of like, oh man, it's just more comfortable going down the trail, and I know a lot of guys ride a lot of trail, but man, if you ever hop on a motorcycle or a mountain bike or anything else, the bars are always way down, because we're trying to get in that like attack position where our chest can be over the sled, our feet can be back, and it just puts us in a great position with the most leverage on the sled. When the bars are high, the sled has leverage on you. That's the misconception, is people are like, oh man, look at how they're way up here, I got so much leverage on it and it's comfortable going on the trail. But what that happens, I just lost audio, or I just lost my camera. So what happens is that sled is like, you're the lever, and that sled flings you across the, it throws you down the hill, and you get high-sided quite often because you can't keep that sled into the hill. So that is the number one reason why low bars And even if you're tall, like, low bars is the move for sure. Like, if you're over 6'1", then let's talk about going to mids or highs or something else. But really take that into consideration, because it is a huge difference. And if I ride a sled with tall handlebars, I am noticeably more tired by the end of the day, and it's not even comparable. So Ryan asks, what makes the front end feel so light on the Chaos? That is it's actually not the front end. The front end is the same geometry. It's the skid. So it has a steeper approach angle in the rails, making the sled want to kind of like initially dig more, then lightening that front end. The Pro RMK is a little bit flatter, so it wants to get on top easier and go forward. So in super, super deep snow, the Pro is going to be a better sled. It's going to get on top and go forward a little bit better. And then also it has a longer front track shock, longer limiter strap, just a few little things that give that sled that playful feel actually in the front part of the rear skid. It's not in the front end at all, but it really changes the feel of the front end. Now, all right, let's go on to the next here. So here's the build list, and this actually gives prices over here. You can see that the tunnel is $200, the rails are $200, and that's about it when it comes to the Chaos package. So you're looking at 15.6 right here on this sled, and wow. Beautiful. That's number one pick for Roscoe right there. 6'4" bars. I would let me see. Let me do the math here. You could ride, if you're 6'4", you can ride tall bars. I'll accept that. Tall bars could try, if you had the opportunity to try 5 or 6s instead of the 7-inch bars. You might as well. Whatever's comfortable at that point. But for like me, I want to even go shorter than what is offered here, and somehow skipped the display on this build here. The PID display is cool and I like it, but for me it's not worth the cost. I don't use it. I just use the display for RPMs and temp. That's what I really, really care about, and the standard display does that good enough for me. If I'm buying the sled, I'm gonna choose to not have that display. But it is a cool display. A lot of guys use it. The cool part about it is you can see some diagnostic stuff on it, and it's really cool gauge. It looks cool. It has lots of functions, and there is it's a great display. But for me, just die-hard riding, I don't find it to be an absolute game changer for me in that one. Samuel Thomas asking, we're gonna 6'1" on the handlebar game. Low bars, you could go 5s or 6s. I would try 5s. 5s are always better. But yeah, so that is number 1 right there. And yeah, I'm finished. Now it's going to take me to want my information. But we're actually not going to select that. But then you guys can go in and you can choose your dealer and do all the stuff and get a quote and all that stuff. If you've SnowChecked before, you know how the drill works. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna just run through this again. And what is my second pick right here? Brian, I have not ridden the Matryx chassis. And do I think it will be in the mountain model? It would be cool to put it in the mountain model. I don't know that. It's a cool sled. This is what I'm interested in while we're here. This buggy right here, this Assault, I don't think the 146, I think it's the Assault 144, maybe. What's the biggest track? Boom, 2-inch. No, this is still the old chassis. Right? Yeah, it's old chassis. We're looking at this little... I know that... What the hell? I just want to see the Matryx 140. It's the 46? Okay. Found it. Thanks, guys. This would be an interesting sled to ride in the spring, and it's a cool sled. I don't know a ton about it itself. Everything about it is cool. The thing that I struggle with is the lay down steering for like the trail riders and stuff. I struggle with that, but it's a really cool sled. I mean, that new display is stupid cool. Look at that thing. It's like an iPad. Sign me up. So it's an awesome platform. So 4.8 inches narrower, 3 inches narrower at the knees. So it gives you more movement. It doesn't feel so wide. The fit and finish looks super good on it. And but other than, I don't know, I just don't know enough on it. You know what I mean? So we will see where this bad boy goes and what happens with it. But back to building our that's not SnowCheck. Here we go. Building our units here. Back in the RMK family, as we do. That is a good point, Austin. Austin says, was told the chassis was made for trails, made worse for side hilling running boards. That chassis is, that's the thing, is that is a 46 length, but the chassis is different. And it has been that way with the Pros. It's that way with the Axis, and the actual rear tunnel is totally different. The skid is totally different, making it's not going to be the same as the mountain chassis back there. So that is kind of the big difference. And I think, honestly, the RMK 44 or 144 is the same kind of rear design back there. But anyways, we're going to go back in sled number 2. It's going to be another Chaos because I like that. I like the feel. It's what fits me as a rider. It's going to same quick drive 2-belt, 850 Patriot, and the only difference in this sled versus the last sled for me is going to be the track length. So love the option of a 155, super playful, going to be a unbelievably capable sled, especially with that the lighter track, the gear down with the quick drive system. It's gonna be a really fun sled, and I've had a lot of fun on the 155 Chaoses up until this point, and I'm excited to ride this sled with these changes done to it. So essentially the exact same color, black, side panels, hood, tunnel, rails, everything's going to be black. And this sled is going to be a little bit cheaper. And then, of course, if you wanted to, you could go with the chrome or the raw to make it even cheaper yet. So Chaos wins the day for Rosco. If you guys were wondering, a 55 and a 165, that is the fleet that I'm going to be running next year out of the box. What I will do with those is still up in the air, but one sled is going to be set up a little bit shorter this year for a little bit more of the coastal riding that I'm trying to plan into my schedule. So if I'm riding Idaho, or if I'm going to ride Oregon, Washington, anywhere where the snow is a little bit heavier, and I think there's going to be more features to do dumb things on, then I'm going to run the old 55. So that's why I'm doing that as well as a 65, and yeah, it's going to be super cool. I'm really excited about it. Shout out David McKinney. Welcome, my good friend. Glad to see you. So Jacob asks, what does the Chaos have for cooler? And it has the same cooling system as the Pro. The coolers run in the top of the tunnel. They're extruded up in there, welded coolers. And on soft, if the trail is soft and it's you have scratchers, you're going to be pretty fine. But if the trail gets hard and it's super hard packed, super cold, and you can't get snow up into the coolers, then that's when the sled overheating problem happens. So that is kind of the thing, and that's why when we cut tunnels, you can kind of get in trouble there because you can't get that snow back up into that sled. So that is why the Chaos and the RMKs can be a little bit trickier when it comes to keeping them cool. Oh, thanks. McKinney's just loving the mullet stash, so I appreciate that, my friend. Let's see, a couple more questions. So like if my one guide sled, if I had one sled, if I'm working guiding, it'd be the 50, the 65. That is going to be the sled of choice. Just for that kind of work and whatever you're doing. But anyways, the two options, both of them going to recap are Chaoses. One's a 55, one's a 65. And really the choice for me would be which one, the 55 or the 65, depending on the terrain I ride, depending on the snow I ride, and depending on everything around that. Yeah, but the 275 track, that new Q2 belt drive system, that is actually 6 pounds lighter. I believe that's the number with that whole system with the track and the quick drive. So that is my pick right there. And yeah, a couple questions about cutting tunnels. Might be cutting some tunnels. Probably going to definitely be cutting tunnels. That's it, on these, welding them, and yeah, wood cut on both of them. The 55 got to be can't cut quite as much, but there is kind of what we found is a sweet spot on cutting more than X amount isn't really worth it, or you need to cut at least this much to make a big difference, but anything helps. So there's a few ways. Even a shorter bumper that's tucked up around the back of the chassis more helps a lot as well, getting that snow out of the way. And that's what we saw big time with the shorter running boards. When the running boards were shorter, when they're longer and they stick back, there's just more things for them to get caught on, especially when you're rotating that sled around. So the short running boards are a huge part, and the tunnel is just like the next thing. So that's what we like about it. Ryan asks about thoughts on the SKS. I talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but to recap on the SKS, that's a great sled, especially if you ride a lot of trails where you think you might. If you're going to have overheating issues, they're kind of like, in a way, kind of a more workhorse sled. So yeah, that's a great sled, but the fact that it has the cooler, it's a little bit heavier. It's heavier in a few other ways as well, and but it is a great sled for that. They do handle like a Pro. You can feel the weight in the SKS. That is correct. Why not the 3-inch track? The 3 inch, the 3 inch. Here's where I'm at on the 3 inch. Is honestly, it is a really good option, especially now. The whole deter from the 3 inch previously, a lot of it was the chain case. Now I rode a 165 Chaos 3 inch, 163 Chaos 3 inch in Wyoming, the new 21, and it was an awesome sled. And I had no complaints at all. Absolutely loved it. And so I'm kind of going with the 275s. I'm really banking on the weight. That's what I like about it, is that is a lighter track versus the 3 inch. So, yeah, the 3 inch is a little bit going to be heavier, but the 275 lighter, I think it's just going to be awesome. And with that being said, along with the 3 inch talk, and going back to like why we've been riding 2.6s, is we've just found that track is better all around. Throughout the year, it seems to do better for us, and just that's why we liked it so much. So we used to ride 2.4s all the time, and it was a good track, but just the 2.6s and stuff are just so much better now. They just handle more. They're lighter. They're more lug and they're lighter. So like, you can't go wrong with that. But yeah. So we're gonna dive into a quick. I don't know. Just looking at actual Pro RMK here. Old trusty here. Quite a bit cheaper. That's an option too. If you guys are thinking, cost wise, you go raw, a Pro RMK, raw finishes. Then you actually have shock options as well with the mono tubes. So there are a little bit other ones there. Shocks, the piggybacks versus the monotube standard issue shocks. Shocks are a huge deal. That's like my number one thing, is shocks need to be addressed, and they are the number one thing, especially for me. And I'll continue to say it, is the first thing I would do to a sled is put shocks on it, and that's the first thing I always do. Just because they work great for people, but they eventually wear out. More aggressive riders can get through the stroke really quickly, and you can bottom them out. Some of the Fox aftermarket options that we work so hard on, they actually get on top of the snow better. And so that's kind of where I'm at with the suspension stuff. Jared, I would recommend welding if you are capable and have a good welder fab guy and can do it right. Taylor Fisk in the house. Welcome to Facebook, my guy. Good to see you in here. Miss your face. Will I run a Kurtz gear down kit on the QD2? And that's something that we're gonna have to play with a little bit. I'm not sure exactly. I think I'm sure Kurt will have something up his sleeve with that being, clutching or a little bit different ratio. We'll see. That's just something we're gonna have to play with every time that new stuff comes to the chassis from the factory. Then we have to rethink some of the other stuff that we're doing. So yeah, but to answer the question about the Fox or the Chaos shocks, the answer is they are great shocks from the factory. They're great for what you can get, and but they're just not what we ride. The Fox factory stuff is a premium and it is expensive, but it is just so dang good. I would say that it is a good shock for sure, but it's not an amazing shock. It's not the Fox stuff. So the Fox stuff just takes abuse better and is more tunable. You can change the whole shock based on just air pressure and some clicks, whereas there's still a lot of internal valving and stuff that you can't adjust with the Velocity series. And also, you have to then know about high speed and low speed compression with the Velocity series, whereas on the Fox QS3s with the quick switch, all you do is turn the dial. So like there's no wrong. You want it stiffer, turn it to 3. You want it softer, turn it to 1. For the true sled, the shock crazy guy who wants to totally tune the heck out of his suspension, you don't have that adjustability. But for 99% of guys, including myself, I don't want to have high speed and low speed compression on my shock. I want to just go 1, 2, or 3 because all of the work has been done in the forefront of the shock to make it good. You just want to change the overall feel. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. But yeah, so hard shell or soft shell tacos? Soft every day. So yeah, 2 black Chaoses, all black everything, 165, 155. That is the verdict. And I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about. So we're going to wrap this bad boy up here pretty quick. But I appreciate everybody for joining in. YouTube, Facebook. We're even on Twitch because why not, right? Instagram, everybody. Really appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys would like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be amazing. And I'll try to keep bringing you guys value. Let me know what you want to see, and looking to bring more stuff. Last question for the suspension stuff is, will I run QS3 or IQS? Oh, I love IQS. I'm so stoked on IQS because of it's very expensive, but it's so dang cool to be able to push it, and just you use the adjustability on the shocks a ton when you do that. So that's what it is like you can just use what it's worth. So you can continue to change it. And this is my first year running QS or IQS. I was actually able to run that shock and to change it mid-hill with the push of a button, where you can't do that any way else. Like I would look up and go, oh, I want to go up that, and I would just I would lock out the rear skid with a hold of the button, and then without even stopping, I'd be still mid-ride and I could get it done. So that is the move there. So shout out everybody, thanks for coming, and yeah, I hope that helped. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Later.